Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. So we've got some updates on the infrastructure bill. A lot has happened in the last week. I'm going to let you guys know where we are today with that. First, I wanted to just bring this to you. Michael at Val5Links posted this. Flare Networks has now inked a partnership with the largest esports organization worldwide. So huge news for XRP hodlers, and for those of you guys who are going to be claiming Spark tokens, Flare Networks, a much anticipated smart contracts platform, has inked a long-term partnership with Global Esports Federation, or GEF. According to an official press release shared with you today by GEF, the two organizations will collaborate to establish the pathway for the adoption of blockchain-based solutions in the global gaming community. Adrian F. Lismore, GEF's board member and chair of Finance, Legal and Administration Commission, stresses that the mission and methods of the two teams are perfectly aligned with each other. Here's a quote, guys. We are excited to announce this global partnership with the Flare Networks. As one of our core values, innovation, we offer our community boundless opportunities, excitement, and hope. Our global community has asked us to lead the way and provide the guidance, framework, and integrity measures appropriate to enhance their trust. And so this partnership expands the number of GEF's collaborations inked to harness all cutting-edge technologies in the sphere of modern gaming and cyber sports. So the gaming industry, I don't have to tell you guys, a huge industry, entertainment industry. I mean, I think it does dwarf, all of film, television, maybe even traditional sports. I mean, don't quote me on that, but I do know the gaming industry, multi-billion-dollar industry, and so this is huge news, guys, for the Flare Networks. Also, Flare's Songbird is gaining steam. Hugo Fillions, co-founder and CEO of Flare Networks, highlighted the importance of cross-industry integrations that blur the lines between gaming and blockchain projects. So here's a quote from Hugo Fillion. We believe wholeheartedly in the mission of the Global Esports Federation to connect the world through esports. At Flare, we are committed to building a fair, fast, decentralized, and low-carbon footprint network where individuals and communities can better take control of their collective futures and experiences and interact with each other in ways not previously possible. Gaming and esports are an area where we think blockchain has exciting applications. Through this fantastic partnership with the GEF, we hope to foster and enrich democratized and better connected esports community. So, big news there, like I said, for the Flare Networks, for XRP hodlers. Of course, we are all still waiting for our Spark tokens. They will eventually come to us sooner rather than later. And, it's not only Spark tokens now. We've got Songbird tokens and a few others where XRP hodlers are now eligible to claim those as well. Wanted to thank Michael for posting that. And another one here from Michael, just real quick. Catch Labs Foundation has a philosophy of social responsibility and will donate $5 million towards Ripple Labs' legal defense fund against charges filed by the SEC. Booyah! Catch Labs founder Joel Kazer knows firsthand the inherent challenges faced by African Americans trying to secure startup funding and resources needed to grow their companies. And so what he's doing, he's helping to change that paradigm by awarding $50 million over the next 10 years to African American nonprofits. And apparently the company is also doing their social responsibility and will donate $5 million towards Ripple Labs' legal defense fund against charges filed by the SEC. Boy, think about that for a second now. If the companies that are associated with Ripple are now pitching in to donate money towards the SEC lawsuit, actions speak louder than words. I think that is all I have to say there. A lot of people have skin in the game, and, whether it is social responsibility or not, I think a lot of these partnerships, a lot of these companies do realize the benefits once we get that regulatory clarity. And, I think in a lot of ways, they're framing this as a social responsibility donation. However, I think in a lot of ways, doing a cost-benefit analysis is likely part of this scheme as well. That's just me assuming this. Because business is business at the end of the day. Let's face it. Meaning, essentially, once we get that clarity, I'm sure a lot of these companies will thrive even further and make far more than even the amount donated to help the cause, the Ripple legal case against the SEC. So, huge news there. I thought that was interesting from Michael at Val5Links. We also have this, guys, from Ripple partner Flutterwave. Now, they are driving expansion, and they have appointed Jimmy Koo as head of U.S. growth. So, Flutterwave recently partnered with U.S. tech giants such as PayPal, Forder, and WorldPay FIS to accelerate digital financial payment solutions across the world. Earlier this year, Flutterwave also completed a Series C fundraise bringing a number of blue chip US-based investors onto the share register, signaling further intent of the US growth of the business. So Flutterwave obviously looking to expand into the United States. Jimmy Koo, formerly Chief Operations Officer at mobile media platform Mixerbox Inc., has over 17 years experience in consulting startups, investments, and founding or co-founding 5 startups during his time there. And so now these guys are looking to expand in the United States, and they have Jimmy Koo on board to head that. So he is the U.S. head of growth at Flutterwave, and here's what he said. I'm very glad to have joined Flutterwave to drive business growth in the U.S. I look forward to growing with the Flutterwave team whilst building a stronger payments infrastructure for U.S. companies with African technology. So Ripple ecosystem just getting bigger and bigger, and now we're even seeing companies from abroad, in this case Flutterwave in Africa, looking to expand their growth in regions like the United States. So this snowball effect, of course, driving more growth, and Bearable Guy was the first one. I gotta remind you guys, because I know at the beginning 2-3 years ago there were haters, people saying Bearable Guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But this snowball effect really generating growth for these companies, and so they see the benefits of expanding into other markets. Dominating Africa right now, Flutterwave, an influential payments provider in that region of the world, also a Ripple partner, so great news there coming from Flutterwave. And did you guys see this? The WEF, or the World Economic Forum executive, weighs in on the disputed cryptocurrency tax policy. So I'm going to get to that infrastructure bill in a second, but here's what Sheila Warren had to say. Sheila Warren, the WEF's head of blockchain and digital assets, has issued a statement about the expanded crypto tax policy by the U.S. Senate. The WEF executive expressed surprise at the amendments to the cryptocurrency provision included in the U.S. infrastructure bill. So according to Warren, it was remarkable that these provisions were inserted in the U.S. infrastructure plan. The blockchain and digital assets had also said that a regulatory policy would be effective following careful consideration and evaluation. Warren further noted the rushed approach adopted towards the expanded crypto tax provision, stating that legislative rulemaking is usually a slow process for a reason. So she is saying, it's slow because we really do need to take a close look at this. Indeed, the cryptocurrency tax policy was hastily inserted into the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which is currently before the U.S. Congress. The stringent crypto tax law is expected to generate about $28 billion in revenue, which I've already reported on, which would cover part of the $550 billion bill for funding roads and bridges. The problem, however, lied with the definition of the word broker, which we talked about in previous videos, and this article just continues on about that bill, which I am going to dive into in a second here. Interesting to note, though, Sheila Warren of the WEF realizing this might be a rushed approach. And for those of you guys who may not have remembered, there is a Ripple connection with Sheila Warren. She was a speaker at Ripple's Swell conference last year in 2020. Head of the blockchain and digital assets team at the World Economic Forum, she did do a keynote speech back in October of 2020. So this just listed on Ripple's website. A connection there. Obviously, she has weighed in on this U.S. infrastructure bill, and so has Jake Chervinsky. So here's what's going on, guys. This is the up-to-date information. Of course, this is all happening over the weekend. So one, from Jake Chervinsky, a quick explainer on what happened with the infrastructure bill last night. We were on track to pass the Whitten-Loomis-Toomey amendment to fix the worst issues with the bill. And then Senators Rob Portman and Mark Warner came from nowhere to blow it up. Now the vote is tomorrow, which happened yesterday. So as a refresher, the current infra bill draft was a provision expanding the tax code definition of broker to include any person who, for consideration, is responsible for regularly providing any service effectuating transfers of digital assets on behalf of another person. This definition is wildly overbroad. It captures nearly everyone in crypto, forcing them all to surveil users in order to comply with tax reporting obligations. Sounds a bit 1984 Big Brother, does it not? We spent all week asking Congress to remove it, change it, or add exceptions for miners, developers, and many others. Thankfully, some smart senators understood that the language in the original draft was unworkable. So basically, here's what it does. It treats everyone in crypto like a traditional financial institution, no matter how different they are, and forces them to report data to the IRS that they don't have and can't get. Here's Senator Ron Whitten, who said this: so the Republican provision in the bipartisan infrastructure framework isn't close to being that solution. It's an attempt to apply brick and mortar rules to the internet and fails to understand how technology works. And here's Senator Loomis's remark on this. More to come, but we're proud of the work we've been able to do. Again, this was from August 3rd, so a few days ago now, with Ron Whitten to responsibly address digital assets in the BIF. Stay tuned for more on this amendment. And Senator Toomey responded, the bipartisan infrastructure package includes a hastily designed tax reporting regime for cryptocurrencies. So the same thing mentioned here by Sheila Warren of the WEF. Simply put, the text is unworkable. I plan to offer an amendment to fix it. So Jake Travinsky goes on to say the three of them, a bipartisan group of 1 Democrat and 2 Republicans, put together an amendment fixing the worst issues with the bill. The Whitten-Toomey-Loomis amendment clarifies that certain non-custodial actors like miners and developers aren't covered by the broker rule. And so here's what they put in here. Nothing in this section or the amendments made by this section shall be construed to create any interference that a person described in section 6045 C1D of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 is added by this section includes any person solely engaged in the business of A, validating distributed ledger transactions, B, selling hardware or software for which the sole function is to permit a person to control private keys which are used for accessing digital assets on a distributed ledger, or C, developing digital assets on their corresponding protocols for use by other persons, providing that such other persons are not customers of the person developing such assets or protocols. Continuing on, the amendment was set for a vote yesterday and appeared likely to pass. It had strong support thanks largely to all your calls, and even Senator Portman, who led negotiations on the original crypto provision for the Republicans, suggested he was for it. And so here's Rob Portman's tweet. I agree with Senators Whitten, Toomey, Loomis that we can do more to clarify the intent of the cryptocurrency provision, and the Senate should vote on their amendment. Number 10. Then, in a DC flip-flop, so fast it'll make your head spin, Senator Portman proposed his own competing amendment, co-sponsored by Senator Warren, a Democrat. So here's where we are now, guys. The Portman-Warner amendment is worse than useless. It doesn't come close to passing a laugh test. It only accepts A, validating distributed ledger transactions through proof of work mining, or B, selling hardware or software, the sole function of which it is to permit persons to control a private key used for accessing digital assets on a distributed ledger. Portman-Warner protects proof of work miners and some but not all wallet projects. That's it. And with a clown emoji over here saying how ridiculous that is. Not software developers or Lightning node operators or proof of stake validators or DEX liquid providers or DeFi aggregators or many other non-custodial actors who can't comply with the law. So basically, a minimal change here, not really doing too much. What really gets to me is how Portman-Warner cuts out subsection C from the Whitten-Loomis-Toomey, which simply protects developers who write code and don't sell anything. This is basic First Amendment freedom of speech. It's jaw-dropping for 2 sitting senators not to get that. And then he posts subsection C here. Now we have 2 competing bills, one good and one terrible, both coming up for a vote tomorrow. The correct outcome is for Whitten-Loomis-Toomey to pass and Portman-Warner to fail, assuming the senators care about good policy and promoting U.S. interests through innovation. But good policy apparently isn't the priority here. Instead, it looks like a continuation of the U.S. Treasury Department's embrace of warrantless surveillance and crusade against financial privacy in crypto. The strategy is new, but the motivation is not. And so the word in D.C. is that this whole thing was the Treasury's idea. And he posts a link here from the Washington Post. They don't like what we're building, and their solution is to obtain jurisdiction over non-custodial actors. They tried this via FinCEN's proposal rule last year and failed. Now they're trying again, and so he posts this, and I want to go over this, guys. Cryptocurrency Brawl bogs down infrastructure bill as Yellen and White House fight changes. So what does this mean? The Biden administration is pushing back against a last-minute effort by a bipartisan group of senators to limit a proposal in the infrastructure bill to increase federal regulation of cryptocurrencies. The fierce lobbying push helped stall plans to finish voting on the bill Thursday night, and now it appears debate will stretch into the weekend. And that's where we are right now. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen spoke with lawmakers Thursday to raise objections to the effort led by Senate Financial Committee Chair Ron Wyden and 2 Republican senators to weaken The legislation's proposed cryptocurrency overhauls, according to the two people who spoke on the condition of anonymity to share details of private conversations. Yellen lobbied Whitten about the matter, the people said. So Janet Yellen poking her dirty little paws in this. Last month, the White House and Senator Ron Portman agreed to a proposal to require increased tax compliance for cryptocurrency brokers as a way to help pay for the bipartisan infrastructure bill. The deal came under intense criticism from cryptocurrency investors, who have argued that it would give the Biden administration sweeping powers to virtually cripple the growing fields of cryptocurrency. It was also rebuked by Whitten, Senator Patrick Toomey, and Cynthia Lummis, of course, who are pushing an amendment to the infrastructure bill intended to prevent the Biden administration from applying the new rules to a wide swath of actors in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. Some senators have hoped to pass the bipartisan bill on Thursday night, but the debate bogged down and the cryptocurrency fight remained one of the unresolved issues. So there is more to this. However, it is interesting, Jake Travinski mentioning that DC definitely does not like this. It was the Treasury's idea. They don't like what we're building, which is a brand new financial system. So, this goes deeper than what we may have initially thought. So he goes on to say, problem is, they might succeed this time. Portman Warner is DC gamesmanship at its worst, but I have to give it to them. Although the amendment is garbage, Senator Warner's involvement makes it bipartisan, which means Democrats can vote for it. Dems can say we fix the crypto provision without actually fixing the crypto provision, which requires voting for Wyden, Lummis, Toomey instead. Even the White House jumped in with a push from Treasury, perhaps, to give Democrats cover for this strategy. And just another tweet to that effect from Jeff Stein. Late breaking, the White House is coming out formally in support of the Warner-Portman-Sinema crypto amendment, implicitly against the Toomey-Wyden-Lummis plan. But we can stop them, guys, and here's what's important. To do that, you need to make more calls to senators, a lot more. Whoops, let me just go back there. A lot more. We need to tell them to vote yes on the Wyden, Lummis, Toomey, and no to the Portman-Warner. If you're willing and able, please use this number and script here to call today, and then he posts a link to that. Again, that number that I mentioned in a video a couple of days ago, 517-200-9518. Call that number to contact your senator. Both amendments are up for vote tomorrow. I'm lucky to be working with all the smartest people in DC, but even they aren't sure how the process for competing amendments work. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Yes, this is how a bill becomes law. It isn't pretty. No matter what happens tomorrow, the fight will go on. The infrastructure bill as a whole will very likely pass, and then it'll go to House. Depending what happens to the crypto provision, we can push for an amendment there as well. We have a lot more friends in the House. He finalizes this tweet thread by saying after that, the crypto provision won't take effect until 2023 at the earliest, so we can keep fighting to reverse it in Congress or overturn it in the courts. Let's cross that bridge when and if we get there. For now, the only thing that really matters, guys, call your senators. So if you are living in the United States, definitely call your senators and, tell them to vote for the Wyden, Toomey, Lummis iteration of the bill and not the the Warner-Portman iteration of the bill. I think that would help a lot. Anyway, an epic tweet thread here by Jake Travinski. I will link it in the description if you guys want to read further. So this is a big deal, guys, and a lot of us do have a lot on the line. I mean, it is good that Sheila Warren of the World Economic Forum is saying, this is happening way too fast. There are a lot of intricacies that we do have to keep in mind with this. Of course, I know what you guys are interested in. You want the price of your XRP to go up, and you probably want to pay the least amount of taxes possible. So what you can do now, call your senators. That's basically the only thing we can do at this moment in time. Again, this wouldn't be implemented right away, 2023 at the earliest, so we would still have time to fight this. That all said, the sooner we get on this, the better. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.